Hey everyone, it's Robin from Humane Yoga here. And today I'm speaking with Lola, our lovely relaxed human in residence for this month. So if you don't know much about Lola already, you should, but if you've been busy and haven't had time, let me give you a little introduction to Lola. She is a travel and yoga enthusiast and has been practicing yoga for over 15 years. She lives in a fast-paced environment, and really she found a yearning that she needed some good quality sleep, relaxation techniques, the normal life stuff that happens to all of us. And she found that yoga brought this vitality to her in her body, mind, and spirit. And then in 2019, Lola became a 200-hour yoga teacher, and she was working in Iyengar style, and that was through the 532 studio in Virginia. And then early in 2020, this year, she met me and we were in Dublin together doing Ayamayo Yin training with Joe Fee Inspiration. And now she's going to lead us through some of her techniques and then have a lovely practice with us. But we're going to talk about some really interesting things like meta connections, sound, meditation, and nature. So welcome to Lola. Hi, Lola.
Hi, Robin. Thank you for that warm introduction. This has been such a nice, hospitable month, just being part of your relaxed residence.
Yes.
I've just enjoyed it. Thank you for that.
Of course, we want everyone to be relaxed, right? That's the goal of us humane yogis, right?
Yes.
So I'm really excited to be able to talk to you and share this with all of our people and make them a little bit more
Mhm.
relaxed and get some insight. You look like you've got a great space set up there already for our practice later, so that's awesome. Um,
Okay.
Probably what we'd really like to start talking about is more about this introspection guidance that you've been giving us,
Mhm.
and maybe starting with how you found yoga. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, so I've noticed different things bring people to yoga, and I remember it was my first experience or introduction to it was in grad school, and I lived in a house. It was really a huge house, but I had two roommates or housemates rather, and we wouldn't see each other. And one morning, one came and literally dragged me to yoga. She was like, "What are you doing? Let's go." And I'm like, "I need time to get ready." She was like, "No, you don't. Let's go." And I got to it was an alignment Iyengar class, and I got there and I felt, "Oh my God, this is torture." But the muscle memory from going to boarding school, and that is a whole different story, made me get through it because you had to have those holds for 5 to 10 minutes and proper alignment. And I remember there was a punishment in boarding school called angle 90 where you had to recline like you were sitting in a chair, but there was no chair, invincible chair. So I was like, wow, what kind of class is this? And you call this yoga? But in any case, that wasn't all the poses. There were several others, but that stood in my mind that um, what is this yoga thing? And after that, I got curious and I started exploring different styles. So anytime somebody would invite me, I was, oh my goodness, there's a little fire behind me.
Oh, you better fix that.
Yes. Hold on one second.
No problem. This is what happens. Candle safety first, kids. Remember that.
Yeah.
So, just so everyone knows, this is a live recording. So, this is the kind of thing you get to see in live recordings, interesting candle situations. All right, welcome back. We just had a little interlude while Lola dealt with the candle situation. The real things happen in life, you know, be careful with candles is the message. Yeah. Now we'll go back to Lola and we'll be chatting about where she was at boarding school and how yoga reminded her of some of the punishment she was getting.
Yes, I'm sorry, that never happens. But yeah, so glad to be back. So as I was trying different styles of yoga, I think that there's something that I kept on hearing about muscle memory. And muscle memory is so real, but that was how yoga became accessible to me because I was able to I'd been in some of those postures before and for long holds, and it became accessible, you know. So I wasn't so worried about having a contortionist form or shape. It was more, I could hold this for this, and then it told me that I had some kind of endurance. And then throughout the years, I stumbled upon yin, and like Robin said, it's a fast-paced environment. Life happens, and one thing with growing and evolving into my career, I noticed that sleep was such a priority. Good quality sound sleep. And so I happened to stumble in a yin class with sound, and I didn't know what was going on, but that was my life game changer. um, I was in the class making a task list, thinking about all the things I had to do after this class was over. I thought to myself, this lady talks too much. She's talking about anatomy, she's talking about everything. Could she stop? And then I heard a gong, and I could not think anymore. And then it got louder, and I'm like, what's going on? And there was something happening with my nervous system, and I didn't resist, but it didn't make me think. There was no more chatter, and the vibrations just kept on going. And before I knew it, I was so relaxed, and I started seeking out sound because I didn't know what happened. I knew I couldn't do what I just heard, but I knew that that was so grounding and calming. And after the class was over, I went back to my task list, but this time I did it much calmer. I mean, I revisited with open arms. It was like, so where were we? Item 24, no problem. I'll just take it one at a time. So I was a different person, and I feel like the sound just rewired my brain. And so I started exploring sounds with yoga. So chimes, the sound bowl, which I would kind of play a little bit, especially during the practice. Um, thunder, which just went off now, because it stops you. Whatever you're busy doing, the brain just takes a minute pause, and something just flows down, in terms of those wires that we have. So that was how I found yoga, and I just knew that if I I got drawn to yoga and I got hooked on it because of the benefit. And for me, it was sleep. After any yin class, especially with sound, whether I was sleeping for 4 hours or 6 hours, it was good, deep quality sleep. And I was able to function and make it through my busy schedules, meeting after meeting, and I'm just gliding through. Um, just because I had good sleep. And so sleep is important, and I found I could get good quality sleep from yoga, giving myself a self massage while I'm listening to the sound to calm my brain. So yeah,
So that's your
that was
medic.
a long answer.
And this is awesome. It's good to get all of the information. So this is what you're referring to as the meta connections, the sound and meditation in nature. And you touched on it a little bit about how you use it in your practice. Can you talk us through different ways that you use the meta connections when you're teaching?
Yeah, so I gave a little bit away. I would reach gently for my sound bowl. Um, so this is a singing sound Tibetan sound bowl, and the bottom part, the cushion is just to make so that it doesn't make direct contact with the floor. And I place it in the palm of my hand. And actually, I also got 4 hours certified in playing this. And so it's the vibrations you hear when you hear things like, and all of these sounds and the bowls, they come in different sizes and they're tuned for different musical notes. So there's an app depending on the size and the shape. It resonates with different energy centers. I know that sounds a little strange, but my goodness, it does work. Um,
That's
and
strange.
so, oh, good. And so I noticed that I resonate with particular sounds and tones, and sound is really interesting. And so what I do is in between poses, because in yin, I teach yin and even restorative and gentle, people need to um, while away time. And so when you're in between the poses and that instructor is telling you find your breath and all of that, the sound makes you take your focus off of whatever discomfort you might be feeling, whatever sensations, so you have something else to focus on while it calms your nerves.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I really love it.
And then, so nature. I used to be in a hiking club, and I was the youngest. The oldest was in her early 90s. And throughout our 5 hour hike, I can't tell you that I heard anything. Um, but when I started taking yoga, I'm like, oh, what bird is that? Oh, I hear this. What the leaves? So you become so aware because hiking for me is a moving meditation. And so then hearing the leaves rattle, or a bird flying by fast, you start to hear all of those, and you're observing, you're seeing the colors changing, and it's telling you, giving you a message, something is coming, you know um, and so all of those connections um, really help guide and gives my mind something else to focus on, because I don't watch the news, I don't watch TV, um, but I listen to sounds, um, I listen to what's going on inside. I even hear myself sometimes sleep. And so it takes you being present and aware for you to be able to incorporate and appreciate the benefits of sound, but it's just very common. That was one of the first things that I started doing that started just calming me into this relaxed human. And my favorite instrument or sound right now is the handpan, also called a hong. And now, anytime I have a handpan drummer that I invite to accompany me in some of my classes, the restorative. And whenever he hits the G note on the top, I mean, I teaching the class, I'm quiet. It's almost like he's also, he becomes the teacher.
Mm.
And so it's really those meta connections and what is it doing to me? And it makes me, anytime I have sound accompany my teaching, I even become more present for my students. I show up differently. And so sound is powerful. I'm still exploring and learning. You never stop learning with yoga and all the things that you could incorporate into it. So
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. I'm a big fan of putting sound in, and the other thing we'll talk about later, which is your palms. But first, I wanted to talk a little bit about how you're handling the pandemic, because I know that you love to travel and you're a world explorer. You've got some of those cool things on your Instagram. So I wanted to know if you're coping. Are you coping? And if you are, can you share some tips with us about how we can maybe cope as well when we like to get you?
yeah. So right before COVID, we were in Dublin.
Mm,
So that could only take me but so far, like thinking back to Dublin and, coping. But very quickly, I went into a 30-day silent journey and I had to go inwards, because I'm one of those humans. Every 3 months, I have to be outside of my environment. My home is just four walls. I am an adventurer, I'm an explorer. I need to be in a different environment, absorbing a different new culture, something. And I wasn't able to do that. So I don't even know where my passport is right now. So I had to go inwards and I had to listen to myself. And I needed to be more self aware of how I was dealing with this. And it was not so much so fear, but the anxiety of planning on the shortcuts. How could I beat this system? How can I beat this virus? How can I beat this pandemic? Because it was not going to stop me from what I wanted to do. And it was until just started letting go and just being aware of whenever I thought of the implications and how I was reacting to it. And I didn't really like that. And so, but when I let go and I started inviting certainty, inviting less busyness, inviting a little sanity into my day-to-day activity, that I was able to smile. So now the way that I dealt with the travel is I thank goodness for my training in Dublin. I was able to reach out to some of my yoga friends like Robin. And so for me right now, I'm in Australia. Um, because it's daylight over there and it's nighttime over here. Took a lot of yoga classes in Hong Kong, in Singapore, in the Isle of Man, in London, in South America. I was intentionally taking all those classes all around just to force myself to be jet lagged. I know it sounds crazy, but having to wake up 5 a.m. because that's the time sometimes you have to wake up to catch a flight, and get ready, and they've sent the materials. And I was most excited with my Hong Kong classes because it was exactly 12 hours ahead. And I would expect a morning class, it was nighttime. I would expect a nighttime class, it was morning. But it was a nice adventure and it was very refreshing. And that was how I started coping and monitoring and following some of the friends we met during training. Um, Following Hostel Yogi go through Thailand. I'm like, oh yes, I've been there, and oh yeah, and so that joy. And I'm also a part of a girls travel group, And so those that are going through the stress of the shortcuts, unnecessary shortcuts, are at least giving me a snapshot of what I am either missing or not missing. So that is also a good way of coping. Do I really want to be in fear because I'm a hypochondriac of this person sitting next to me on a plane right now? So people that are going through that and sharing their experiences, it's giving me a little bit of comfort. Am I ready? Am I not ready? And basically online shopping, that's an that's another way that I've been. And not just necessarily Amazon. I bought several yoga wear. I'm like, I'm going to be on camera. So just finding creative things and dancing, listening to music, exploring different types of sound, trying to learn how to play the ukulele, so the different fun, creative activities.
I love that you're adventuring through other people as well and listening and commenting on how they're doing. And then getting up. I didn't think about this, but getting up and being jet lagged to do a class or a course is a really interesting way of handling it too, so that you can trick your mind into being
Exactly,
skillful.
exactly.
Awesome. Well, I think the other question I was leading to before was about your stories, and I know that you're really into telling stories when you're teaching now. And I do like to tell a good story when I'm teaching. I find it really helps the functionality of the poses or the practice that I'm giving to students and to myself. Do you have a favorite story or a poem that you'd like to share with us today?
Yeah, so I think that I had a poem. Um, I had I shared it in one of my videos, earlier videos, but my favorite one was How I Became a Warrior because it really helped during the silent journey.
Mm.
Um, However, lately, my students have loved this particular one. So I've been teaching online, and I think on the average, I've had maybe one or two people in the class. But this, She Let Go by Ennis Holmes, has been a really fun one. Do you
Mhm.
want me to read that? Share
Absolutely.
that?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So I think for you to really appreciate it, you have to come into a comfortable seated position. And if you were already in a comfortable seated position, just uncross your legs and cross it back if it was crossed. If it wasn't crossed, just extend it, adjust, remove the flesh from the bottom of your sit bones, just getting yourself ready for this poem that I'm going to read because it's really about letting go. Okay. So she let go. Without a thought or word, she let go. She let go of fear. She let go of the judgment. She let go of the confluence of opinions swarming around her head. She let go of the committee of indecisions within her. She let go of all the right reasons, wholly and completely. Without hesitation or worry, she just let go. She didn't ask anyone for advice. She didn't read a book on how to do it. She let go of all the memories that held her back. She let go of all the anxiety that kept her from moving forward. She let go of the planning and all of the calculations about how to do it just right. She didn't promise to let go. She didn't journal about it. She didn't write the projected date in her journal. She just let go. She didn't analyze whether she should let go. She didn't call her friends to discuss the matter. No one was around when it happened. There was no applause or congratulations. No one thanked her or praised her. No one noticed a thing. Like a leaf falling from a tree, she just let go. There was no effort, there was no struggle. In the space of letting go, she let it all be. A smile came over her face. She just let go. So that's my favorite one lately. And
Beautiful. I've got
really,
chills.
yeah, it's really good when you're holding a pose and you're just trying to go further and further. And every time you hear she let go, the muscle just relaxes and you're able to sink deeper into the pose. Because in yin, you often hear us say, now what can soften? And a verbal cue that helps that is just let go. Let it go. Let it go. And so I like that one in particular. But the How I Became a Warrior by Jeff Foster, that is on some of my other videos. So you have to check out Humane Yoga. I went through some of that in the dragonfly fold and butterfly.
Yeah.
But I would just, out of treating you all today, I would go in straight into my favorite one of all of How I Became a Warrior. And it goes like this. Once I ran from difficult feelings. Now they're my advisors, confidants, friends, and they all have a home in me, and they all belong and have dignity. I am sensitive, soft, fragile, my arms wrapped around my inner children, and in my sensitivity, power, in my fragility, an unshakable presence. In the depths of my wounds, in what I had named darkness, I found a blazing light that guides me now into battle. I became a warrior when I turned towards myself and started listening. And I just love that poem. And a lot of my friends have appreciated that because you have to listen to yourself. And I never understood what that meant until I went inside. I had to experience that silent journey. And it doesn't have to be 30 days, it could be just 2 hours, it could be 5 minutes, just a time where you're silent and you could listen to as simple as your breath, your sensation, the flickering of light going on on the outside coming in. So there's no way, there's no wrong or right way to meditate. It's just finding a moment of stillness. And for for different people, our sit still and attention span will be different. Our house and home condition will be different. I did this with a friend. She could only do hers for 1 week, and the cutoff time was 6 p.m. because her kids, so during the day, the husband dealt with the kids because she was like, there's nothing out there that cannot wait till sundown for me to talk. So you assess, but we all have, even as you wake up in the morning, if you say for the next 1 hour or 10 minutes, I shall not speak and I'm going to be silent and listen to my breath, just breathing in and breathing out, as simple as I'm breathing in, I am breathing out, and just repeat that and introduce some affirmations of what you want out of the day. And you're just saying it all internally. I am breathing in, I'm breathing out. I'm grateful for this day. I am calm, I'm healthy, I am relaxed, you know. And just saying that, you'll be amazed how time quickly passes by, and you start really understanding the kinds of feelings you want, how you want to show up for the world, how you want to show up being at home. I mean, we're still at home here.
Yeah.
How you want to show up from going to the bedroom into the living room.
Yes.
Yes.
It's all a
Yeah.
mindset thing, really. And that's such great tips for people just to think about, because you don't have to be a pretzel yogi to get the benefits of the things that the yoga can offer. And I love
Hmm.
that you mentioned that at the beginning, that you were, when you were doing your practices, that you found that they were hard and it maintained a focus, but then when the sound element came in with the yin, it actually was the thing that sort of sparked you and changed your viewpoint and relaxed you. So it's a really great story of a way to get to yoga. I love it.
Hmm. Yeah.
I have 3 questions for you quickly that I want you to answer really fast. Okay, you ready?
Okay.
What's your favorite color?
I don't have any. Sorry.
All right.
Orange, red.
All right, favorite food?
I don't have any either. I love all food.
All right, last one. What's your favorite country to travel to?
Oh, man. I love them all too. They're all so different. I know I'm so not I said I thought I was being more decisive in my life, but no, I love it all. But I do want to say that Turkey stands out as my trip of a lifetime,
Mhm.
because it was an open air museum of a country. So that stands out. But I I've enjoyed every travel from the South Pacific and being on my own little island by myself, feeling like a castaway actress, to like the hustling and bustling of a very fast-paced city, and still feel it like the Bangkoks of the world, and still feeling like, oh, this is so much fun. But Turkey was all of that in one. So,
Uh,
but I don't know if I could say it's my favorite country either, but I have a lot of favorite places.
yeah, it sounds like it. It's good to live in the grey and keep your options open. So very cool. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, Lola, for talking with me and the Humane Yoga community. Um, for those of you who are staying around for a practice, we'll be getting ready shortly. So if you are watching this on YouTube or Instagram, then you'll just have to flick to the next video or head to the YouTube channel Humane Yoga and grab Lola's video. She's going to take us through a beautiful one pose practice now with some sound. So we'll see you all soon.